If you have ever gone back to abuse and then sat in private trying to clean up the truth before you told anyone, or if you've ever left, felt a crash hit your body and started questioning yourself because the quiet felt so violent you almost preferred the chaos, or if you've blocked the phone number, deleted the text, swore you were done, and still found yourself staring at your phone like your entire body was being pulled back into something your mind already knew was killing you, or if you have ever gone back and then hated yourself more than you hated what he did, this episode is for you. Because this is one of the most judged parts of abuse and the one that's the least understood. People love the story of leaving, the idea of a woman being strong, decisive, powerful, and done. They want the version of the story where she sees it, calls it, leaves once and never looks back, rebuilds beautifully, and becomes the proof that all you have to do is choose yourself. People are so fucking obsessed with that version because it keeps abuse simple. It lets them believe that once a woman knows better, she should be able to do better immediately and permanently. That is not what it looks like for a lot of women, and I will never shut up about this. For a lot of women, that moment that they leave is not the moment they feel free. It's when the panic starts, when their body starts looking for familiar, even when familiar was harmful. And then, of course, reality will hit. Money, housing, children, court, retaliation, threats, silence, loneliness, family members who do not get it, friends who supported the exit and then disappeared when the logistics got ugly, the shock of realizing that telling the truth does not automatically create safety. Sometimes it creates exposure, fallout, or even a level of pressure a woman was nowhere near ready to carry by herself. And then what happens, people do not usually get gentler with her. They get meaner and more self-righteous. They start talking to her like she ruined her own credibility, like going back erased what happened, like returning means it must not have been abuse, or breaking no contact means she actually wanted it, like sleeping with him again means it could not have been that bad, like missing him means she is confused. No, that is not your story. The story is that women go back for reasons that make complete sense when you understand what abuse actually does to the body, the mind, the soul, the attachment system, and the structure of a woman's life. That women are trying to survive things most people only know how to comment on. You can know exactly who he is and still not have the internal regulation, external support, material stability, or emotional capacity to hold the exit the first time you try. That leaving and staying gone are not the same skill set. And insight alone does not automatically create capacity. And shame has kept more women stuck than the lack of awareness ever could. This is not a permission slip episode for abuse. And it certainly will not be soft language that sounds good on the internet and does absolutely fucking nothing for the woman listening, feeling like she wants to throw up because she already knows what she did and she cannot change that fact that she answered, went over, let him in, or reopened something she fought like hell to close. You deserve a more honest conversation than what you've been getting. People saying trauma bond like it explains something, or receiving advice from people who never had to calculate the risk of a move while trying not to escalate a man who punishes distance. Or being told to just leave by people who had never had to carry the aftermath of leaving. And you certainly deserve more than just being looked at like a contradiction when the truth is you are in the middle of something brutal and bigger than just one decision. I know what this conversation is like from both sides. I know what it feels like inside of the narcissistic relationship, what it feels like to leave and still have your body dragged back toward the known. I know what it is to see the pattern and still feel the pull. I know what it is like to live inside the gap between what you understand intellectually and what your body can actually hold. And I also know what it's like to coach women who are going through the part that nobody actually celebrates. The aftermath, the crash, the grief, the doubt, the need for contact, the urge to explain themselves, the part where their whole body wants relief, and the most familiar route to relief is the same person who caused all the same pain in the first place. I'm Meaghan Webster. I'm an abuse recovery coach, a trauma-informed strategist, and the woman a narcissist hopes to never meet twice. The Narcissist Worst Nightmare podcast, where I drop truth bombs into your hands to start untangling what's happened to you and how to actually heal your wounds, your patterns, and your attachments at the root. Today, we are getting into the 3 reasons why women go back to abuse. The one that lives underneath shame. The one that explains why women can be smart, capable, aware, loving, self-respecting, and still wind up back in contact with someone she knows is dangerous for her. Why knowledge did not save her in that moment. Why most women do not need more information. They need regulation, safety, leverage, support, and enough truth to stop turning their pain into personal failure. Because a woman going back does not mean that she is dumb. It does not mean that she lied or that it was not abuse. It means that something real happened in her body, in her life, and in her history that made going back make more sense to her nervous system that was trying to survive. I'm going to share more about what happens when the body chases relief, what happens when the consequences of leaving hit hard, how attachment wounds feel, and why some women are not only grieving a man, they are getting dragged through much older pain every single time the cycle opens back up. I'm not interested in helping women sound aware. I'm interested in helping women set themselves free. The first reason why women go back to abuse after leaving is because it does not feel safe right away. This is where women start turning on themselves. They will leave, or they will pull back, or they will stop answering, and then everything starts going sideways. They cannot settle or sleep or eat properly, and their thoughts get really loud. They are checking their phone. They are replaying everything in their head. They are wondering what he is doing, if they overreacted, if it was really as bad as they thought it was, and if one more conversation would calm this all down. Then they start making the worst possible meaning out of what's happened. Maybe I do still love him. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I actually need him. I cannot do this by myself. And a lot of the time, guys, this is not love. This is your body reacting to the loss of a pattern that your nervous system got organized around. Women hear the word nervous system and people make it sound like it's something that it's not. You don't need a bath, a walk, and something to do. You need to understand that your body is being trained to scan, calculate, anticipate, adjust, and chase your relief. When patterns get interrupted, it can feel like a free fall. A lot of my clients have spent months or years waking up in vigilance, watching the tone, reading the room, trying not to set something off, managing other people's emotion, trying to get through a conversation without punishment, or grab a small piece of peace before it disappears again. And your whole nervous system is built around managing what happens next. Then when they leave, the silence is present, and silence does not always sound peaceful. It often sounds wrong, sharp, unbearable, like something bad is about to happen, even if there's no truth to that. Peace can feel very foreign when chaos is what your body learned to organize around, which is why a lot of people will feel confused right after they leave. They expect relief and they get hit with panic instead. Then they start thinking that panic means they belong back in the relationship when it doesn't. The real truth here is that you're not missing a healthy relationship when you choose to go back. You're trying to stop the distress that floods when the cycle gets interrupted. Your body just wants the ache to stop, the obsession, the panic. And because contact has been tied to relief before, going back starts to look like the fastest way to make the pain shut up. But that does not mean that he is safe or changed or well. It just means that your body is reaching for what it knows and what it feels that it needs. This is why awareness is not enough, and we cannot logic our way into healing. A woman can know every single pattern, label, red flag, and still feel like she's going to crawl out of her skin if she does not make contact. People who have never lived this will never understand what this feels like. Knowing is not the same thing as understanding, and your capacity will get tested when your body is lit up. It happens when it's late at night, when you're alone, when you're driving, when you're in a familiar place where you were with that person before. This is why women need real support, and it's usually when they are the most alone. Some women go back because they want him. Others go back because they cannot tolerate what happens in their body when they stay away. Both of these aspects feel very different, but you can feel disgusted by this person and still crave the contact. You can still know that he's dangerous and still miss him. You can still feel clear at 10 a.m. and be losing it by 6 p.m. That contradiction makes you think that you are insane when all that's really happening is your body has not caught up to what your mind already knows. Telling yourself to get stronger does not fix that. Neither does shame or judging yourself. What helps is understanding that your body just wants the cycle to break, and knowing when you are the most vulnerable is going to be the biggest key for you here, because the hit will usually come in patterns. At night, after a fight with someone, after court stress, after a parenting exchange, after he sends something soft, when he sounds wounded, after you get scared about money. These are all examples of moments from my clients where if a woman does not know her pattern, she treats every moment like it's a personal failure instead of learning where she folds and where she needs to start next. The second reason that women go back is because leaving comes with real consequences, and some of them hit hard enough to knock the wind out of a woman who does not have enough support. People talk about leaving like the hard part is admitting it's abuse, as if once you see it, the rest is just courage. So she leaves, and now what? Bills, housing, childcare, court, constant contact because of co-parenting, threats around custody, retaliation, being painted as unstable, private information getting used against her, friends falling off, family pushing for reconciliation, work getting affected because she cannot think straight, kids asking questions because she's trying not to fall apart, the humiliation of needing help, the fear of not having enough money, the exhaustion of handling all of it while she's still wrecked from the abuse itself. Women know that before they leave. They are not looking at the relationship. They are looking at what the movement is going to cost. They calculate what is happening next, and they figure out whether they can survive the fallout of that. Most people are not choosing between abuse and freedom. They're choosing between one kind of danger and another kind of instability, which is why so much of this advice is reckless. People talk as if leaving is one move. It's not. It's a chain of consequences, and some women go back because those consequences land in a life that is not resourced enough to hold them yet. Some women go back because going back buys time. It is temporary stability, a pause in escalation. It buys access to the kids or a roof over their head or time to get a plan together. That does not make it healthy. It just means she's trying to survive inside of limited options. A woman can be emotionally done and still materially trapped. She can know exactly what he is and still not have the viable exit yet. She can want out with her whole body and still go back because the alternative hit is too hard, too fast, and she's too alone. Women who go back to buy time, they actually need leverage, money, plans, and support that understands what they are actually carrying the weight of. This is stronger than just leave. If you went back because the practical cost of staying out was crushing you, hating yourself harder, that is not going to solve it. The question is, what has to exist in your life so the next time that this happens, you're not trying to survive it with no resources in your hand. The third reason why women go back is deeper than the body and deeper than logistics. They go back because the relationship often hooks into older wounds that have never healed in the first place properly. I talk a lot about trauma inheritance inside of the RRR membership because the relationship that's currently in front of them hits an older wound. And when that wound gets activated, it does not feel old. It feels current and urgent. Like this man is the source of the pain and you have to answer it at the same time. This is an area where a lot of women will get dragged into confusion because they think that they are grieving him, the person in front of them, when a lot of the time they're getting pulled into something much older. Rejection, inconsistency, being chosen and then dropped, having to earn love, waiting for warmth from somebody cold, or trying to prove your value to someone that's withholding. He becomes the stage where the old injury gets to play again, and it's not because it's a romantic relationship. It does feel deeply personal and incredibly real. It is real. It's just not always about him and the way that women think it. A lot of women do not miss the man as much as they miss what getting it right with him would mean. It would mean he would finally choose them properly. If he finally stayed steady, if he finally apologized for real, if he finally gave what they had begged him for, then the wound underneath would get repaired. And that is why leaving can feel like bigger than a breakup, because it's giving up on the fantasy that this time the story gets to end differently. And it can feel like giving up on the hope that the one who hurt you the first time will become the one who heals you. That hope has kept a lot of women tied to men who are never going to become safe. This is where the attachment part matters. And a lot of people will talk about that in dating, but I talk about it in abuse recovery. When abandonment wound, people make it sound like it's something that's kind of out there and woo-woo. The way that it actually works is it's tied to your nervous system. I'm going to give you some examples of this. It feels like you who gets dropped into panic the second you feel distance from someone. Or maybe you feel like you disappear when he pulls away. Or you tolerate the mistreatment longer than you should have before you left. And this is where a lot of people will confuse intensity with devotion, because the calm peace does not feel emotionally loud enough to register to you as love. So you might find yourself explaining, justifying, rationalizing, and even trying to understand the benefits of misunderstanding you. This is nothing more than a long-term pattern. And that pattern is not broken by hearing yourself being called things like codependent, addicted, weak, obsessed, or broken. When you decide to break and heal the pattern, you must get honest with yourself about what this relationship is plugging into and stop treating that honesty like it's an insult. A lot of women grew up with love that was inconsistent. Other people learned that connection came with anxiety, or how to learn adults early to adapt early, to soothe early, to perform early. Other people learned that closeness could disappear without warning. That is abandonment 101. Other people learned that attention had to be earned, or that they were too much and they had to be less than, and they never held boundaries with other people. So sometimes how you feel in your attachment is misguided as chemistry, but it's really pattern recognition. You do recognize it, but you're unable to leave these types of relationships because you're not just walking away from that person. You're walking away from the hope that this time they could finally get the love they could never quite lock down before. So if you just say the right thing, love harder, stay calmer, set the right boundary, explain it one more way, heal enough, become enough, then maybe this time you will be chosen. That fantasy line of thinking is very expensive to you. There is a large cost. It eats years of your time, your energy, your self-trust, and it keeps women trying to extract nourishment from a place that only gets intermittent relief and then calls it connection. Women also go back because attachment pain lies. It tells them that separation is devastation, or that this is the deepest thing they will ever feel. It tells them that nobody will ever understand them like he does. And it means that losing him loses a piece of themselves at the same time. You have a dull ache, and that proves meaning to the relationship. It tells you that intensity equals death, and that the grief proves that he mattered. None of that makes the relationship safe, though, right? It just shows you how strong the trauma bond is. The hook is what the relationship plugs into, old deprivation, and it keeps alternating between pain and brief relief. A woman can know that a relationship is bad for her and still feel bonded to it because the bond is not built on health. It is built on repetition, longing, hope, fear, intermittent reinforcement, self-abandonment, and a deep wish to finally be enough in a place she keeps getting hurt. That is why some women do not break when the relationship gets bad. Certain aspects of it can hurt, but the inconsistency can own the whole nervous system because it keeps the hope alive. And hope is a place where people get trapped. It's where you wait, bargain, minimize, and reopen doors that you've been trying to shut. And if that is what the wound is under, then of course you're going to go back at some point. And it's not because you're naive or because you are blind. It's because a part of you is trying to finish the old story with a different man who was never qualified to hold that role. This is why healing takes more time than just cutting contact. The contact, the distance, the boundaries, all of that matters. But if the deep wound never gets addressed, if the root cause is not found, a woman can leave one man and still be vulnerable to the same type of person with a different face and a different name. You can stop the behavior and still not understand your desire to have it underneath. You can judge your pattern without changing the thing that keeps making that pattern feel familiar. So when we talk about a woman going back, this is the third piece. The relationship often lands on top of an old attachment pain. And when that gets activated, it can make the return feel emotionally necessary, even when it's objectively harmful. There are several things that are very helpful for you to know to help you stop going back. And it doesn't mean this is going to happen in one shot or it's going to feel good, okay? A woman stops going back when she stops building capacity where you have been relapsing or collapsing back into the relationship. You do need regulation. And I do not mean a matching set and a matcha and your feet in the sand somewhere. I mean expressive regulation, what you need to lean into when you start to panic, what your body does when it's desperate for relief, what your windows of vulnerability are. There's the possibility of needing material support, money, childcare, a safer work plan, a real exit strategy, additional communication, a way to reduce exposure, and something practical that allows her to stay out and make it more than possible than it was the last time. And most importantly, you need very honest people around you, not people who are going to tell you what to do or shame you when you tell your truth. People who can hold your truth and say, okay, you went back. What happened right before that? What hit you? What did you need? What did you tell yourself? And what has to be different next time? You need time to grieve, not just the person, but the fantasy and the hope that this would become something that it never could. The hope that pain could finally turn into love, that if you finally did enough, gave enough, stayed enough, softened enough, explained enough, healed enough, then this would become safe for you. And I want you to understand the difference between missing and belonging. You can miss someone and still need distance. You can ache for somebody and still feel unsafe with them. You can feel pulled back in and still not be called there. Women get in trouble when they turn every single feeling into guidance. Not every feeling is direction. Some feelings are withdrawal. This is where your self-trust is going to start getting rebuilt. Through evidence, through watching yourself tell the truth, through honoring the pattern and what it has already shown you, through staying with your own reality when the pull is loud. That learning piece may feel foreign for a while and still be right. If you are a woman listening to this who has gone back, maybe more than once, I do not want you sitting here making that mean something about you. I want you to be honest with yourself. Women do not go back for one simple reason. They go back because their body is trained, the consequences are heavy, and the attachment wound gets lit up. Those three things can make returning feel like relief and hope all at the same time, which is why it's hard to break. But it's also why it can be broken, because once you stop reducing it to something about you, you can finally build for the actual problem. If this episode hit you in the chest because you are living it, this is the work we do inside of the Reinvent, Rebuild, and Redeem membership. It's for the woman that is still in it or trying to leave and wants to rebuild after. This is all root coaching, meaning we deal with the body, the patterns, the decisions, the shame, the strategy, but more importantly, the reality of what it takes to stop handing your life back to the same kind of pain. If you are done trying to sound aware and ready to rebuild the capacity to set yourself free, this is where that work happens. Going back does not mean the abuse was fake. It does not erase what happened, and going back does not mean that you liked it or you are beyond help. It means that your body, your life, and your history is stronger at this time than your current capacity in the moment, and that can change. You can learn your pattern, build for the hit before it comes, stop confusing relief with safety, and understanding that painful love, and understanding you can stop making your return to abuse the final story. If this episode cracks something open in you, good. That means you're not just listening, you are evolving. Please share this with another woman who needs to hear it. Hit follow so you do not miss the next one. Send me a DM on Instagram and tell me what landed the hardest for you. And if you are ready for support that deals with this properly, fully, and completely, please join the RRR membership. This is where we stop making sense of the abuse at the surface and start rebuilding the woman who never has to hand herself back to abuse again.